Good afternoon. Welcome to our webinar today. My name is Fawzi Bawab, and it is a pleasure to be here with you today. I am broadcasting from Dubai, so I hope you will join me and you will participate and listen to this very exciting topic. The topic is about Six Sigma. It's about the specifics of drafting your first Six Sigma project charter. The reason that I thought I will share some of the practices, best practices on my experience in drafting the project charter is the reason, the fact that many project charters and many projects in Six Sigma will tend to fail. Hence, I thought that this is a great opportunity to share with you my experience in running many projects in Lean Six Sigma and how we should be basically looking at a project chart. So again, welcome. And it is a pleasure to be here with you today so we can basically discuss and share some of the great practices that we are looking at in Six Sigma. So I can see some participants joining us today. I'm sure they're from different parts of the world, maybe of the region here in the GCC. So again, welcome to our participants. And let's get started with the program. So as we get into the webinar, just to let you know that the webinar is recorded and it will be shared on Merck website and our YouTube channel. So you can always go back and you can look at the elements that we will be discussing today. Now, what we have planned for you today is probably a 40 minutes webinar, maybe some with Q&A at the end. But first, we're going to start talking about the importance of this discussion. Why are we discussing project charters in Six Sigma? Then maybe a little bit to shed some light on the history of Six Sigma. I mean, Six Sigma is a great methodology. It's a problem-solving methodology. It's a continual improvement methodology. So maybe a little bit of history, the three dimensions of Six Sigma, just to give some background for our participants. And then we will discuss some of the research on the barriers of Six Sigma. And then we will zoom into the critical success factors and specifically the one related to Six Sigma project charters, which basically include the selection and what do we need to consider when we build that project charter. Takeaways at the end and hopefully some questions from your side, and I'll be ready to answer these questions. So with that in mind, let's get started. And before that, I just want to give you a very quick brief about the company I represent. It's called Merck Training and Consulting. We are one of the pioneers in the development of competencies in the region. We deliver training, we deliver consulting services. We started in 1958, the company started in 1958, and then evolved into different operations in the region, from Beirut to Dubai, plus branches in different areas from Abu Dhabi to Saudi. So you can see here that we have over 26 categories and 300 courses. So all you have to do is just go to our website and you'll see all these courses relating to the specific field that you are in. You know, we're into developing competencies, right? So you can go there and see what is the competency that you want to develop, and hopefully you can find the program that is associated with that competency. Like any company, we have our vision, our mission, and that's what we do. We develop career, and we've been doing it for the last 60 years. So we are very privileged to have that relationship with our customers. As I said, over 26 categories, from project management to quality to human resources to finance. So all you have to do is go and check the website and you will see our list of specific courses. We do have a number of courses that are associated with international bodies such as American Society for Quality, the Standard Institute or Society for Human Resources Management, the SHRM for people in HR, the PMI, Project Management, and many others associations. My name is Fawzi, Dr. Fawzi Bawab, and I come from an engineering background. My original training was in civil engineering, so I've got my bachelor's in civil engineering, and my master's is in industrial engineering, and this is where I got into this quality discipline, continuous improvement, and that's why I continued even my doctorate degree in operational excellence at Heriot-Watt University in Edinburgh. I worked with a number of companies, including KPMG in Canada, Ottawa, British Standard Institution, IBM as their quality manager, Talal Abu Ghazali, one of the regional consulting companies, and I joined Merck in 2004 after coming to Dubai. I became a partner in 2007, and right now I look after the quality and operational excellence offering. Again, you know, my experience is about improvement. It's about operational excellence training, coaching, consulting. And that's what I've been doing over the years in different capacity. So it's really a pleasure to be here with you today and try to pass that knowledge to you so you can basically get, you know, information about how do we do you know, project management and how we can improve the project management of Six Sigma project charters. Why are we doing it? Well, research in different fields of operational excellence, Six Sigma, showed that there is a good percentage of projects do fail. The percentage here is 62 based on research in 2018. And I can tell you even from my research at the doctorate level that I have a similar percentage. So having the right elements in how you develop a project in Six Sigma is crucial. So it's all about the project selection. How do you select the successful project? Not every project is suitable for a Six Sigma methodology, and it's all about how the project charter is developed. And that's what we talk about usually at the first step in our methodology in Six Sigma, which we refer to as the DMAIC: define, measure, analyze, and improve and control. So that stage, I think, you know, teams should not rush into it. I've been involved in more than 300 projects in Six Sigma and Lean Six Sigma, and I did see failures in some of the projects. They did not basically launch, they did not continue, they failed at a later stage. So I'm here to share some of these practices and how we can make a successful project in place. Now, just a little bit of people who are curious about the Six Sigma you know, history. It did start at Motorola, and a guy called Bill Smith, Dr. Harry as well at Motorola, basically started this continuous improvement methodology. They basically borrowed many disciplines that they did exist before, you know, whether they started looking at the statistical analysis, SPC, you know, usually, it was basically discussed by many quality gurus like Dr. Deming, Dr. Juran. So they brought these tools, these good concepts, and brought them and blended them into what we call the Six Sigma methodology. So they came up with this methodology. GE stepped in and they polished this methodology to become the well-known methodology that we call today DMAIC. It does contain a little bit of statistical analysis because we do need to look at data and use data to our advantage. So actually, this is what we discuss in our courses in more detail about how we transform a practical problem into a statistical problem. So if someone is going to ask me what is Six Sigma, I can use this slide here in front of us, and I can say, look, it's a methodology driven by customer needs. It is led by top management and senior management, and it is enabled by the quality team and the quality practitioners, usually we call them the belts, the green belts and the black belts. It follows a structured methodology called define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. And it uses a number of tools. Some of them are qualitative, some of them are quantitative. So you need to have a good training on some of these tools like process mapping, process capability, process variation, and probably, you should be familiar with some of the quality tools such as the Pareto, the scatter diagram, the Ishikawa. So there is a little bit of training that you need to go into all these fields. So, and that's what we do in our green belt and black belt training, when people get their belts by exhibiting that they have already mastered these ideas. Now, what we'll be focusing on here in this session, because it's only 40 minutes, we're not going to be covering every aspect of Six Sigma, but we'll be focusing on the drafting of the project charter. So again, we did say that Six Sigma is about transforming a practical problem. And that's what the belt, the green belt and the black belt will do. They will take this problem, this pain that exists in a company. It could be at the IT department, it could be at the procurement, it could be at the operation, manufacturing. So it doesn't matter. We can do this methodology in any industry, in any process. However, we need to be careful when we select the project to ensure that we maximize the success. So as we move from transforming the practical problem to a statistical problem, then we start working on the statistical solution by discovering the root causes, by using data, of course, to try to understand what is affecting this process, understanding what we refer to as the variables or the X's that affect the output that we are concerned about. Once we do that, we can then start engaging the team to discuss practical solutions where we make true changes to the process. I mean, that's the whole objective of Six Sigma. It's not about the data analysis, not about the statistics. It's about improving our existing processes and getting to enhance the customer satisfaction. So again, it's the focus on the customer journey, on the customer expectation, and that is what we're trying to achieve in this process. So to summarize, the process and the methodology is about defining, measuring, analyzing, improving, and control. And as I said, we can spend the next 5, even 10 days talking about them, but we are focusing on a very specific element under the define, which is defining the project charter and drafting a good project charter. Now, what would be the barriers of Six Sigma implementation? Why do projects fail? We do see a good percentage of projects, as we said, research might show 62% of projects that might fail because, there are certain elements, we refer to them as the critical success factors, CSFs. So I'm gonna engage the participants here and say, can you indicate what do you think the factors or the top three obstacles that you think will hinder implementation and deployment? So pick your top three. What are the things that you consider are the ones that will affect the project deployment? So I'll give you a minute or so, and we can see how. Okay, so just pick your top three. Probably you see on your screen some kind of a poll. So just pick your top three, and we can use that to indicate the enablers or the success factors. Okay, so I can see some results here. Let me try to show you some of the results, and then I'll share with you the results of the surveys. Excellent, excellent. So let's see some of these results. Um, okay, and if you look at the results here, you can see that lack of leadership support, lack of staff awareness, and lack of project clarity and lack of resources. Yes, lack of leadership supports tend to be actually, if you want the research results, number one in terms of the critical success factors to make these projects succeed. If you don't have the top management support, it will be very difficult to allocate the resources, which basically takes us to the second point, which is lack of resources. We can look at the one of them related to our topic today, which is lack of project clarity. So if the project scope, if the project dimensions, objectives, baseline metrics are not clear, you will have tough time looking at the elements of this project. So let me share with you, based on this small sample that we just did, share with you what the research is showing. Now, this was a quick research done by Merck, and you can see here that maybe the top three: lack of leadership, lack of staff awareness, lack of team expertise. They're all important, but I mean, if you want to rank them, you need to take a good sample and a larger sample. And that's what I did in my doctorate research. So when we looked at the results, if you see here, you can see the critical success factors, and you can see in the literature review based on research. I'll just show you the money slide, as we call it. You can see number one is leadership support, or lack of it, if you think of it as a critical success or a failure factor, training and education. So all of them are important, and you can look at our point, which is the project prioritization, selection, management, and tracking skills, and then aligning LSS to project objectives. So these are about objectives. The others are about culture, about communication, about top management support. So if you look at this slide here, you can see that some of the top reasons why projects succeed. You can see here that some of them, there is no clear project goals, which is, usually included in the project charter. Measuring system, are we able to measure and set baseline at the project charter? Maybe we're just taking a project that has a very broad scope. It's like, boiling the ocean, and you cannot really do that, because you will never be able to finish that project. Project dynamics, which means, the project leadership, the team selected, that might be another reason. So all of these factors that we've seen now, we need to think of a way to put them in a project charter, so we can basically discuss them, we can manage them, and we can ensure that we have all these elements in place. Now, again, just to remind participants that Six Sigma is not the answer for every problem. We do not have to do a Six Sigma project for every problem that we have in our organization. Sometimes, if someone comes to me with a problem and they say, look, my laptop is suffering from lagness, it is slow. And then we look into the memory, we look into the hard drive, and we find that, okay, it's about the hard drive, it's about the memory. I mean, do we really need to have a Six Sigma project for that? Not really. We just, do it. We just go and change maybe the memory, or enhance the memory, or enhance the hard disk. So again, we do have multiple methodologies. Could it be lean, which is another methodology adopted by Toyota, or just do it, or just go and ask an expert? So again, Six Sigma is usually used when we have causes unknown. We really do not have any idea of what is causing this problem. The root causes are not very clear for us, and the solution tends to be complex. So we need to engage data to try to see what exactly is affecting our problem. So again, if you want to put Six Sigma in that quadrant where solution is complex, causes are unknown, this is where you can position Six Sigma in this area. So, making sure that we select the right methodology for the right problem, this is another thing that needs to be verified at the beginning of any project in Six Sigma. And we don't want to go into a project that really Six Sigma is not maybe the correct methodology to do. So as we said, we are focusing on that specific element of the project charter. And the project charter, like any project manager, is that discussion, that document that you discuss budgets, you discuss scope, you discuss the team, you discuss risk, and you put the objectives and the baseline in place. So what are the specifics, or what are the things that we need to look at when we look at the project charter? The project charter in Six Sigma is that document that contains the problem statement, description of the problem statement, the project scope, where does it start, where does it end, baseline metrics, some graphics of the project metrics, some data to support that there is an actual pain in place, who are the people who are involved in this, who is the sponsor, usually the division or business unit head, the team members, as I mentioned. And this project charter becomes the document where we need to submit, we need to present maybe to a steering committee or to our management, so we can get the approval to assign people and to assign budgets to this project charter. So problem statement usually describes the pain, the defect, the error. Why do we have this project in place? Will actually link to the problem statement. What are we seeking to do? What is our current baseline? Now, are we measuring it through defect rate, sigma level, process capability indices? They're all valid. We can use different metrics, but at least I know where do I stand today in terms of that process. The scope, where do we start in terms of this process? Where does it end? This is very critical because the boundaries are critical to the success of the project, to ensure that we do not go off tangent and we go somewhere where we waste our time and resources. The primary metric, as we said, is it defect, is it sigma level? And then if we have secondary potential consequences, it could be like measuring customer satisfaction as a result of enhancing this process. So maybe we could have secondary metrics. And of course, we always love charts. So graphical displays would be very nice to have at this stage. On this slide, you can see a mini, I call it a mini project charter template. Usually the document, of course, is larger than this. It might contain an executive summary and some other, table of content and other stuff. But I mean, this is the core. This is where you need to describe the business case, the strategic alignment to the project in terms of the company and the organization. What is the description of the problem statement? And we will talk about the template for a problem statement. What are you trying to achieve, to get to increase, to enhance? That's your goal statement. And usually that needs to be measurable. Project scope, defining where does it start, where does it end? And we might have a quick flow chart or use another technique called the SIPOC. And then our project plan, it's a typical plan where we can indicate the steps, we can indicate the beginning, we can indicate the end. So we manage the Six Sigma as a project, and then we talk about who will be on the team and what will be their responsibilities and role. Again, this is a mini project charter. Usually the project charters that we prepare are, anywhere between 10 to 20 pages. So they will have more meat in these project charters. So again, this is like a sample mini project charter, Six Sigma project charter, and you can see the problem statement, you can see the objective, you can see the scope, like primary metric in this case, percent of calls resolved first time. So that's what you call your primary metric. Now, what is your current status? That is your baseline metric. which is not actually included here, because the baseline metric I might use maybe a Sigma level or a process capability. It just gives me an idea of how well are you meeting the customer requirements. So do we have maybe a target, right? Are we off target? By how much? So again, we need a little bit more details than what you see here, and that's what we do in moving the project charter into something that we can look at. So you can see here, what would be the objective that we would like to achieve. What is the objective? We would like to, reduce the gap by 3%. We need to have an annualized financial benefits. And that's another point in project charters, where we need to have some kind of a link to financial benefits, cost of poor quality, as we call it in the quality domain. So again, the project charter will have many parts. We need to develop it. We need to spend time on making sure that all these ideas are well documented, discussed, and this has to be quantified in terms of metric baseline. So no two people will disagree, because numbers do not lie, and we can always show this at the beginning of the project charter. So all of this is just discussing how the project charter will evolve. I want to discuss a little bit on the business case, which basically answer the question, why would you do this project strategically? If the CEO comes to you and say, why is this project important to us as an organization? So the best thing to do is to try to connect that project to a strategic objective. Your vision, your mission, and your strategic objectives might be a good place to look at and try to establish that link. Do you have a primary business measure, measuring maybe customer satisfaction? Many companies will have that. Can we connect that and say that this project supports that strategic objective? Hence, we can have that business case in place, and we can defend our project if someone comes in and say, I don't see the linkage between your projects and our business or our strategy. Then you have already established that, and you can answer that question. One topic that people usually, struggle with is writing a good problem statement. A problem statement, part of the project charter, is a complete and detailed description of the problem that highlights what is condition expected. What do we expect? It could be a target, it could be an SLA, it could be a KPI, and what is the current situation? So condition expected, condition found, and the gap between them. Now that gap need to be quantified. You need to show some numbers. So it's not like I feel, I think. There must be a gap that we can measure, and we can support the presence of a pain. It should be specific. And of course, another thing, you do not discuss causes, or you do not write the solution at this time, because you really don't know, right? That's what we said, Six Sigma, you start with not knowing what are the possible causes. So you basically need to define a quantified problem, and then you can support it with data, and that becomes your problem statement. So if you're asking, how do I write a problem statement? Here's a template. During the last 3 months, our on-time delivery, which targets 98%, shows that we are lagging at 82%. And because of that lag, we have received 12 complaints from our customers complaining about our delays. And that is causing a potential loss of $212,000, because that represents the value of these contracts, and a potential opportunity loss of more than $1.5 million. Because remember, if you start losing customers, the word of mouth will pick up very quickly, and you might start losing customers that you're not aware that they're not your customers. So again, writing this template or writing this problem statement, you can use this template to drive the writing, so you can have a good template of the problem statement in place. And maybe this is an example. So during last year, the first time call resolution efficiency for new customer hardware setup was 89%. What is the gap? What is the pain? The pain is that it is 8%, right? It's off by 8%. And that is causing what a loss of annualized cost of $2 million. So again, we need to do a little bit of calculation on what is the lost time, maybe it could be defect, it could be scrap, it could be other things that we can quantify into dollars value. Again, I've seen people writing unclear problem statements. You know, our customers are not satisfied with our product or our service, and they put it as a problem statement. That's not really, you know, a clear one, right? If you look at a better one, our customer satisfaction with the specific product PKR was rated 63% last quarter, an all-time low. Now, again, I would even enhance this problem statement and put down the target so I could establish the gap, the pain that you have in place. So we do see people writing not very specific, too broad, and we need to be specific and use the template that I just shared with you. Again, here you can see that the problem statements in front of you. Let's take, for example, the first one. As a company, our accounts receivable performance for the finance invoicing area is not meeting the goal of 47 days sales outstanding. Overall, this is causing cash flow and budget problems that are costing us as much as $4 million per year. So you can see here the area, which is accounts receivable. They're facing some trouble collecting money, right? Which is a problem for companies because of that, they have to borrow money to pay for their liabilities and to ensure their cash flow is positive. Because of that, they're incurring $4 million per year. Now, why is this happening? Well, it seems they have a goal that, you know, the goal of 47 days sales outstanding. They're not able to get their money in and to collect within the 47 days. Now, what is their target? That is not mentioned in this statement. So again, you can critique this statement, problem statement, the one that we have at the top, and say, look, I don't see the pain. Where is the pain? Where is the gain? The difference between the 47? What is the target? So again, you can always learn how to start looking at problem statements and critiquing them and trying to even improve them so they are clear, they are specific, and they give you all the information to start your project in Six Sigma. So we want to link our problem statements to our pain, whether it's capacity, whether it's downtime, whether it's resources, it's waste reduction, and what would be the effect on customer satisfaction? Is it defect rates? Is it on-time delivery? And usually we would like to have financial benefits to that project. It is doable in 4 to 6 months, and we basically would like to get the results within less than a year. So to make sure that your projects are successful, make sure they're connected to your business priorities, strategic objectives. Make sure that it's a problem that has importance in the organization. Make sure that there is a financial implication, and make sure that you are not trying to boil the ocean, right? You are picking something that is doable in 3 to 6 months. Otherwise, your project will, you know, be delayed and sometimes not be completed. So again, you want a project that has that clarity. You want a project that defines what we need to do, and you want that project charter to be well-defined and specific, and anyone who can open it and read the problem statement, they will not need to go and ask anyone or consult anyone. So that becomes the you know, definition of a good project charter. I think that's what I had to do or to present to you today. If you want more information, again, feel free to email us or contact us at Merck. Here is our website. We do have a number of courses that links with the Six Sigma, whether it is the Green Belt or whether it is the ASQ approved Lean Six Sigma training, and other courses that also talks about different quality and improvement topics. So we do actually talk about this topic, in more details when we have our Six Sigma training. I thank you for your time. If you have any questions, let me know, and you can send your questions to our chat. So I can see some. Okay, a question saying, how do you ensure that the problem statement is correct? Well, again, it's the team that has to sit down and try to look at the elements of the problem statement and try to make sure that all the elements that I discussed or presented at the template are clear. It's called challenging the problem statement. You might want to take it to someone else within the organization and ask them to look at it and say, and ask them, is this clear? I mean, do you understand what we're trying to achieve? So there's a good test where you can use a peer review or ask someone else and get their opinion on the problem statement. Okay. I do thank you for your time. I hope you've enjoyed this quick webinar. Again, feel free to contact us, and I look forward to seeing you on our actual courses at Merck Training and Consulting. Thank you very much.